All right, guys, let's go ahead and stay in the NBA playoffs with a check on the rest of the action. Boston Celtics took Game 1 over the Raptors Sunday. Game 2 is in progress as of the recording. The Raptors do lead the Celtics 59-54 in the third at last check. Denver and Utah wrap up their electric series with a Game 7 tonight at 8:30 as Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell conclude their epic battle. But there's yet another Game 7 between Oklahoma City and Houston on Wednesday, and we'll see if CP3 can lead the upset. The Lakers and Clippers are awaiting the winners of those series. So go ahead, Drink. Let's start with the storylines in the series. What is standing out to you the most in these couple matchups we were talking about?
Well, what stands out to me the most is the fact that Russell Westbrook even came back. Listen.
Off the bat.
Listen, because as I watched those games, I watched the game last night, and what we want to do as a profession. Now, it's not good to just attack a player. I got that, but as I watched that game last night, I'm like, Houston was a lot better when Westbrook was on the sideline wearing the Lakers jersey. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest with you. Like James Harden had them rolling. And I thought OKC, they was going to go and bag up OKC and get them out of here. And then last night, I watched Westbrook in the last 3 possessions pretty much just waste the game away for whatever reason and don't even look towards James Harden. And I don't know why in the hell James Harden don't touch the ball in the last 3 possessions. And if you watch the game, Chris Webber said the same thing. So it ain't just some guy, at the crib talking trash. No. The professionals are saying it too. Like, he's at the game saying, why is James Harden not touching the ball? That series should be over. Now, Denver, Utah, that was a series I think we all agree was going to be closer. I think Utah is handling themselves better than we thought.
The two people who know they're talking about thought it was close. I had a sweep for Denver.
Okay.
Go ahead with that one.
Carry on. Nothing to see here.
So Utah they're giving us a better performance than we thought. So we'll see how that roll out tonight. Denver, you hear the rumblings. You know what I'm saying? Hey, the coach got to motivate them. I guess it's working because they're playing a lot better. So it is what it is. But with the games you mentioned, it got to be. I go back to the Houston and OKC, and not because before this series started, we said this would be the best series of the Western Conference. We did say the first round, the West Conference first round. We said this would be the best series. But after the first 2 games, I thought, okay, Houston, they found the recipe. They're going to get them out of here. And then Westbrook comes back, and now instead of making a cake, you over here making a pie or something. I don't know, like some biscuits. Like, man, I wanted a cake. And I don't know what Westbrook doing. It almost to me seems that he might be doing this on purpose. I don't know. It just, he was so god-awful in the late part of that game last night. It made me wonder, is this for real? Is he doing this for real? It was just blatantly disrespectful to James Harden. James Harden ain't trying to lose in the first round, man. He tired of hearing this crap. Give him the ball. But I do think that's both game 7s those series have been very good. So yeah, I think that's the storyline that stands out to me most, that Westbrook hasn't hurt his knee again and ended up back on the sideline.
I'll start in the semifinals, where it appears the Eastern Conference is at a much better pace. I think they're going to beat the West to the NBA Finals. It just appears that's how it's going to play out. But it's good to see Boston play well in Game 1, Game 2 still in their way, but they got off to a really good start. I got that series, Boston in 6 games. I think they're the better team, and it played at a balanced scoring effort in Game 1. All 5 stars were in double figures. Daniel Tice had 13. That was the lowest amount. Tatum had 21. I think Smart had 21. Kemba and Jaylen Brown were excellent as well. And Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam combined to go 8 for 32. And as you well know, that will not get it done. Kyle Lowry was a bit better than them, but he still wasn't anything spectacular. I believe him and VanVleet combined for 3 for 18 from downtown. And as I told Cody last week, I think that'll be the difference in this series. I think if Lowry and VanVleet make threes, then they'll have a chance. If they don't make threes, then they'll have no chance. And that's what happened in Game 1. We'll see how that series plays out. I think it'll be a fantastic series. But in these first round series that are yet to conclude, Denver, Utah, that series I don't think has been what we expected, especially from Denver's perspective. I think we all expected a bit more from them. And you make a great point. I don't know what it is about. I think in the before the season, we all looked at Denver as that one Western Conference team that was in the upper echelon of that conference, and every other team made upgrades and adjustments. Denver pretty much just ran this thing back, and you would think with all the youth that they had that they would just as a unit get a little bit better. And a fine regular season, you get the third seed, and that's to be respected behind the Clippers and Lakers, who we all agree were superior teams. Yeah. But then we come in against Utah, and we had concerns about the Jazz from the start, whether it be chemistry between Gobert and Mitchell, no Bojan Bogdanovic, which I've said many a time. They didn't even have Mike Conley for games 1 and 2 for crying out loud. And yet Utah, we thought they would be somewhat offensively challenged. Well, they have not been offensively challenged because Denver has been defensively challenged. We've been looking far and wide with telescopes, magnifying glasses, and any other vision optics. That's exactly what I was looking for. Any other optical assistance to help us, and we literally cannot find it. I mean, Nikola Jokic, for all the great things he does offensively, they're just coming out there and they run pick and roll, and no matter how Jokic plays it, if he lays off and stays in the paint, it's a mid-range jump shot. If he comes up, you don't want to come up because he's they're going right by him whenever they want to, and then if he does happen to be in good position, we'll just lob it up to Gobert, and we'll just pretend that Gobert is an effective offensive player with an array of post moves when we know that's flat out not the case. I mean, this is a guy who looks like the second coming of DeAndre Jordan, for crying out loud. But listen, good for Denver, though, for getting their act together a little bit in the last 2 games. We got us a game 7. And these 2 young guys, and Donovan Mitchell and Jamal Murray, you talk about in this series, the performances that they are bestowing upon us. We got Jamal Murray in the last 3 games. He's went for 50, 42, and 50 again. And Donovan Mitchell, he's been right up there with him, and with some of the things he's doing. He's had a 57-point game, a 51-point game. He went for 44 in game 6. I would tell you, though, I think Denver has made it. It's not like they've came out there and just brought with the great defensive intensity and all those type of things. They do have some okay defenders. I think Torrey Craig's got a good defensive reputation, but they just have not been able to do anything with him. And give credit to Mike Conley coming back in game 3. He's been very good for them. And Jordan Clarkson, he's been a great asset for them off the bench, picking up some of the slack that was needed with Bogdanovic being hurt. But to shift into Houston and Oklahoma City for a brief moment, Houston cannot lose. They cannot lose this series. They absolutely cannot. This is a stain that no amount of laundry detergent will get out on the reputations of James Harden in particular, but also Mike D'Antoni and Russell Westbrook. You can't lose in the first round to a team before the season that we thought they would be in the absolute basement of the Western Conference. Okay, and you had Chris Paul, who was a Houston Rocket for a couple seasons. You thought he was washed up, and you ship him out to OKC, where you thought he would just die away in a retirement home or whatever. And now you mean to tell me that same OKC team comes out here and beats you in the first round? They will never live that down. James Harden, he will never live that. You talk about some of the abuse that has come his way with some of these performances against the Golden State Warriors, where they've come up short time and time again. Nobody's going to excuse losing to the Oklahoma City Thunder in the first round, even though we've seen that they're a really good team, and that 3-guard lineup is something to be respected. You cannot lose this series. And Mike D'Antoni, by the way, he's getting fired if he loses game 7.
Got something to add, Drink? Or
no, you go ahead.
All right. Yeah. These storylines have turned out really fascinating. Especially both the game 7s. We were wondering in the bubble, we're going to get more sweeps, we're going to get more game 7s. Like, how was that kind of dynamic going to play? And we did get our couple sweeps. It seems to me like it's worked out about on average. But Celtics Raptors, we'll start there real quick. Like you said, Jay, we previewed the series last week, and one of the things you talked about was, the fact that the Raptors at times can be offensively challenged, and boy, they were in Game 1. The shooting was really bad, and that's the thing. I mean, you got Fred VanVleet going 3 of 16, 2 of 11 from three. I mean, Kyle Lowry 1 of 5 from three. I mean, just atrocious shooting up and down the board. And they can't afford to do that. I mean, like I was really praising their defense, but I don't care how good you play defense. I mean, you're gonna shoot that like that from three. Man, this NBA, you get out of here. But I think it's also worth noting the Celtics had a lot of help from guys like Marcus. I mean, Marcus Smart goes 6 of 10 and 5 of 9 from three in a game. I mean, hey, great. I mean, that's the kind of thing that, I wonder about the Celtics. If that falls off, can Brown and Tatum shift some of that load to them and keep the team afloat? Or are they going to have to get those kind of performances? Because we know Marcus Smart, he does what he does on defense and what he does in between the lines is great. But at times, guys like him can really struggle to shoot the ball. And can they absorb that with one of these three guys they got, with Walker, Tatum, or Brown? But overall, so far, so good for the Celtics, and definitely, Game 2 close for right now. But by the time this goes out, that'll be over. We'll have that for you later in the week. Rockets Thunder, and this is the thing about the Rockets Thunder. It's hard to be respectful of the Oklahoma City Thunder, because they are doing something that's ridiculously impressive. I mean, Chris Paul at his age, 40 minutes last night. He was plus 20, 28 points. I mean, 10 to 20, facilitating, he's doing everything. I mean, it's incredible to see someone at this point. Because, again, he was dumped off at a truck stop in Oklahoma. They said, good luck, smell you never, nerd. And look what he's doing now, right back in the playoffs. It's incredible. But I would say that, the Rockets have aspirations that go well beyond the Oklahoma City Thunder. I mean, the aspirations for this Rockets team is the bar is so much higher. And they should not be struggling right now. And like you said, if they lose this game, if this Game 7, I do not understand how Mike D'Antoni would have a job after this. I'm about sick of him anyway. And to see them screwing around like this, come on. Like, what? This is just, it's unacceptable for what the aspirations of this team is. I mean, you really going to tell me you're going to go beat the Lakers and Clippers after this? All right. And yeah, I mean, Nuggets, Jazz. Yeah, I think that sleep prediction is going to have to go ahead and get put to rest. But I'll take it. If we're going to get 40 and 50 points from these guys every night, these Jamal Murray, Donovan Mitchell, can we just have these dudes play one-on-one? I mean, this has been so much fun. It is amazing. And the Denver Nuggets should not need superhuman performances from Jamal Murray to win these games. Besides Donovan Mitchell, I mean, I think y'all should be able to take care of some of these other dudes. But like you said, I mean, the Jazz have a great game plan right now. They're executing it. They're getting some good contribution from guys like Mike Conley and Gobert, like at times looking like he can actually play some offense. And one of those matchups we said was Jokic and Gobert and how Jokic abused him through the regular season. Well, that hadn't been the case. And I think the other problem for Denver, besides the lack of defense anywhere to be found, Michael Porter Jr. hasn't had a great series. Just last night, 28 minutes, 2 points. He had some rebounds, but that's one of those little weapons we thought they'd have that he hasn't really been there. So yeah, winner take all Game 7. Sign me up, and also for the Game 7, the Rockets and OKC next week or on the day after.